it's really a contextual view of what it looks like on Main Street, actually on Lincoln Place, looking east. What we see to immediately on our left is 4 Lincoln Place, which is an older three-story building, mixed-use building, retail on the ground floors and residential on top. And we purposely put in, obviously, these white dashed lines showing what that building looks like, its height, in comparison to what our proposed building would look like on Lincoln Place. You can see that the heights of the existing building, because of how we're setting back the building, really would demonstrate that our building is not higher than 4 Lincoln Place. It's going to be the sign for either the Lions Theater, Madison Theater, whatever name it becomes. But the point is, what this element is, it's 5 feet wide, it's about 13 feet high, and it's lit. So if you were thinking that you had a movie marquee, and the movie marquee might be 5 feet high and 13 feet wide, we're taking that movie marquee, we're just turning it on its side. And we're putting that movie marquee at the location where the entrance to the movie is.
Thank you for the illuminating presentation. It was very valuable to see how you pulled these different elements of the existing architecture of our downtown into your consideration for the design of the new building. And I think you've allowed us to see the downtown buildings in a light that, you know, many of us don't consider in our day-to-day experience of walking down Main Street. So this is quite valuable. I also appreciate that you've incorporated a lot of these architectural elements into the new design. You've got some interesting brick details. The pediment certainly seems very typical of Madison. The brick tones are, I think, quite nice and appropriate. I think the main element that jumps out at people and at myself are the size of the windows, which, you know, you did a nice job of showing us that here in Madison we do have some grand windows. We have buildings with grand architectural gestures. The YMCA windows that are grouped into, you know, like a double height vertical grouping. The oversized windows on Main Street, the transoms. But generally, these are elements of civic and cultural buildings that comprise the fabric of Madison, whereas the windows in the proposal here harken back to like an industrial or a factory style, which maybe is typical of Jersey City or Hoboken or you know, other you know, vibrant, transit-oriented downtowns. But it feels a little bit out of place in Madison. We do have elements that are grand, but they're broken down with more of a human module, whether it's the divided lights of the windows or the windows are framed.
District on Lincoln Place. The ordinance doesn't prohibit demolition, we know that, but it also certainly doesn't encourage it as well. And I'm reading from the ordinance, in regard to an application to demolish or move a historic building, site, place, or structure, the following matters should be considered. And then there's a list provided. One item on the list specifically asks the question, what are the compelling reasons for not retaining the existing structure? Can you elaborate somewhat on what are those significant structural issues? We've got a picture of the building that was built, and it does have a steel skeleton. So can you spend a little time explaining to us what those compelling issues are?
Sorry, you're asking me what are the structural issues specifically?
The compelling reasons as to why you said disrepair. Why can't it be saved? What are those compelling reasons that say that? You mentioned that it was, the engineers said it wasn't structurally sound or something. Can you give us a little more information?
Well, one that you could all go take a look at tomorrow morning. If you look on the east side of the building, you'll see a diagonal crack that starts in the foundation at the basement and goes right through the entire building, diagonally sort of towards Main Street, up through the that's a clear indication of some foundation failure where a part of the building below has given out and the building is now cracked right through it. So you'd have to underpin half the building on the one side just to stabilize it. I've been through.
My comments mostly to one aspect of the plan at hand. So putting aside the fact that this is the first time the theater, in the theater's 90-plus-year history, that it's been bought by someone who thinks that demolishing one of the most iconic buildings in Madison's historic downtown civic business district is appropriate, it's clear at least that the developer understands that an overwhelming number of residents are unhappy. So they've inserted 2 movie theaters, an olive branch, if you will, to the community. We had the approximate dimensions shared with us earlier reviewed by a successful movie operator to get their opinion on what's being offered. I'll read you what he wrote. Quote, both of these theaters will be known as micro cinemas. 14-foot ceilings will leave you with a tiny screen, about 11 feet. This is because the screen has to be about 5 feet off the floor. A theater should have a minimum 20-foot ceiling.
We should change the movie theater to a place where people have concerts, performances, and recitals. So we're going to change it to a live theater. Adults, teens, and children will enjoy this. This